So, obviously the biggest news of a week and a half ago on YouTube was the YouTube shooter, Nazem Agdam. I don't know if that's how you pronounce her name, and I couldn't be bothered looking it up. Walked into YouTube's offices, shot and injured 3 people with a 9mm pistol, and then shot and killed herself. Now, as great as it is to see women of color filling roles traditionally performed by white males, I don't think this woman is going to be the next Rosie the Riveter. Her motive, apparently, was that her content was being demonetized, and she believed her views were going down because her content was age-gated. So, the reasonable response, she snuck into the offices and fired on employees. One fucking mouth breather on my Twitter said, "Karma's a bitch." Yes, employees chosen at random being attacked because someone's having a hard time making money at the pretend job they gave themselves is really the very definition of karma, and not at all disproportionate retribution. But I don't want to dwell on this part that much, because I've talked about this now in so many videos. The TLDW version, YouTube doesn't owe you a living, and no one hired you. And not being paid to ramble your opinions into a camera and post them on the internet isn't censorship. No, everyone's talking about this aspect already. Some apparently suggesting that YouTube forced her hand. What I want to talk about, since I'm a week and a half late, is the buzz on social media now. And what I'm finding is a lot of this. The media has completely dropped the hashtag YouTube shooting. No mention of the fact that the shooter was from a hashtag travel ban country, and absolutely no discussion about YouTube's censorship and demonetization and the negative impact it is having on society. Hashtag censorship kills, hashtag whatever her name is. The first 2 words in a failing New York Times article is, "in Iran." And the article mentions her birthplace and faith. But, reading is hard. Especially for the type of idiot who would use the hashtag censorship kills, which definitely suggests YouTube has brought this on themselves by censoring content. Although, the only person that died was the one who was being censored, and she shot herself. The ultimate self-censorship, I guess. And why should anyone discuss the negative impact on society of demonetization? Unless they're discussing how ridiculous that sentence is. How ludicrous the idea is that someone owes you money to make a bunch of amateur videos, and by not giving you money for this, society is hurt in some manner. Yeah, that's a great discussion to have. I mean, it probably is much better than these ones. Hey, you liberals, ponder this. YouTube shooter. Assault weapon? In quotes, because an AR-15's not an assault rifle. Someone's misclassifying guns on the internet. My righty sense is tingling. Assault weapon? No. Christian? No. Conservative? No. White? No. Male? No. NRA member? No. Media silent. ... several dots. Hashtag Saturday morning. This tweet was copy-pasted from a verified account, whoever this person is. But this is the big talking point on social media about this shooter. You see, the media stopped talking about this 5 days later, unlike the Parkland shooting, because it, quote, doesn't fit the narrative of the liberal mainstream media. Were there any anti-gun protests over the weekend for the mass shooting at YouTube? Oh, I forgot. It didn't fit the Democrats' narrative, since the shooter was an immigrant, vegan, Muslim, Iranian woman who did the shooting in a state with extremely strict gun laws. Mainstream media dropped the YouTube HQ shooter story the next day because she's an Iranian immigrant, not a white male. Hashtag fact. Here's a fact. If you put hashtag fact after your tweets, it actually gets upgraded to fact from its previous designation, the rambling opinion of someone who I guess didn't Google to see there were stories about her 2 days after this. And Chuck Woolery, the original host of Wheel of Fortune and Love Connection, shared an article about the media's deafening silence on the YouTube shooter. An article that didn't seem to address this at all, but instead talked about the shooter's background and how Democrats were calling for gun control and, quote, expecting the shooter to be a right-winger with a MAGA hat targeting Hillary voters. Of course, with no tweets or comments citing this. You want to know why the lamestream media wasn't talking about this on Saturday when it happened on Tuesday? Why there's no march scheduled by the YouTube staff? Because 3 people were injured and the only person who died was the shooter. It was a mass grazing at best, and there's nothing more to drain from this story. No families to interview about coming home and never seeing their kids again. They got her motive, Her life was so public that there's no mystery to unravel. They already have the family saying, "We knew she hated YouTube. We even told the police." I guess the news could interview the police and say, "Hey, why the fuck didn't you follow up on this?" But the story is over. The gruesome truth in the media is, if it bleeds, it leads. And the bleeding has stopped. 17 people died in Parkland, with 17 more injured. 49 people died at Pulse, with another 50 injured, which, by the way, the shooter wasn't a white Trump supporter there either, but that one got a ton of media coverage. The Vegas shooting? 59 killed, over 400 injured by gunfire, another several hundred injured while evacuating. That is a story the media can really wrap their cocks around. That's the type of shit you hold a candlelight vigil for. 3 hurt and a suicide? If it wasn't a YouTuber at the YouTube offices, it wouldn't have even made national news. It'd be a local story wedged between a budget meeting and a high school lacrosse score. It's the US. 11,000 gun murders in 2016, another 27,000 suicides. An average of 104 people die via high-velocity bullet-propelling tool every day. And guess what? They're not all news. There's no cover-up, no sweeping under the rug. Unless you think CNN should spend an hour a day for 2 weeks on every individual that gets shot and dies in the US? If so, sorry, but there literally aren't enough hours in the day.